Hey everyone, Lanny Pator here.
And I'm Kieran.
You know what we here at TeamFourStar love? Thanksgiving. The turkey,
The mashed potatoes,
the stuffing.
the awkward drunken family arguments.
Maybe not those so much, but the national holiday has really got us thinking about what we're thankful for.
Like our family, friends, and of course, all of you lovely people watching these videos.
And when we were sitting around trying to come up with future top 10 lists, of course the conversation led to one question. Which games are we most thankful for?
Yeah, it's an odd question and actually brought out a few scoffs from us due to how cheesy it sounded, but then we really thought about it and there are quite a few games out there that have changed our lives for the better.
So, in the spirit of the season, we each decided to come up with our top 5 games that we are most thankful for.
Enjoy. Warcraft III. I'm sure I'm not alone in how formative this game was for me. Warcraft 3 had so many unique mechanics about it. It was such a huge step up from 2, but honestly, I've never even touched Warcraft 1 or 2. I just wanted to play 3 with my friends because I got my first computer ever. I was 13 years old at the time and my friends were all playing Warcraft 3, so when I had the opportunity, I wanted to join them. It was my first time with full internet access and the ability to talk with people online without my parents constantly surveying me. Sure, I dabbled with the normal game, but it was the custom games that really drove me to keep playing Warcraft 3. I was able to make so many friends online, and the magic of talking to people through text that are states or even countries away was blowing my mind. I spent long nights in Warcraft 3 chat rooms, and I made a lot of friends that, while I haven't talked to in a while, could easily get in contact with again.
Super The Empire Strikes Back. For those of you who don't know, I fucking love Star Wars. I go balls deep into its lore and have always thought twice about purchasing anything that just has that little logo on it. But that isn't why this game is on the list. Funnily enough, the reason this game is on my list is because it was actually a key factor in teaching me how to read. Sure, my parents in school helped out a lot in the process. I'm not going to pretend that this game is the sole reason I know how to English good. English well. But it was the first time I ever sat down and tried my damnedest to make out what each character was saying in each of the cutscenes. And I'll be damned if I didn't sound out each word for myself. On my own, with no provocation other than just trying to figure out what was going on. Sure, I think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, Star Wars game available today, but it will always hold a special place in my heart for teaching me basic... what's that word?
Sound it out, Lanny. It's phonetics.
I was getting it, Kieran!
Kingdom Hearts 2. Now this one's a bit more personal, not that all of these aren't, mind you, but for those of you who don't know, I struggle with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. I was officially diagnosed with these illnesses when I was in high school, and I wasn't sure how to cope. At the time, I was huge into Kingdom Hearts, lurking fan forums and trying to figure out what was in Mickey's letter at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. Then one miraculous day in 2008, in the middle of grappling with depression, medication, talking with friends and family members, Kingdom Hearts 2 was released in the United States. Sure, there was homework to be done, but if you know anything about depression, it makes work, or hell, even play, feel impossible to get done. Thankfully, I was so invested in Kingdom Hearts, I was able to bypass the circumstances and for a while, enjoy exploring one of my favorite multiverses in gaming. The franchise is just so positive that I was able to help look past a lot of my personal negativity and just enjoy what I was doing. And honestly, I got my first real girlfriend through this game. I formed a strong friendship with others thanks to this title, and it holds a fond place in my heart for helping me deal with the hand I was dealt.
Team Fortress 2. A fun game to be certain, but what puts this game on my list is the time I spent not so much with it, but with Kaiser, Taka, Gon, and others early on in the days of TeamFourStar. The game really helped to build what friendship we had. The hours we spent trying to push a card or capture a case were some of the funnest moments I have ever had playing a video game. Not because the game itself was really fun, but more so because it felt like us as a group of friends were accomplishing something together. It's thanks to the friendships that this game helped build that I am where I am today, and yeah, it might be a little hollow to allot any of that to the game itself, but I will always remember and be thankful for it being the game that bolstered that sense of camaraderie.
Guitar Hero 3. It was the end of senior year in high school, and Guitar Hero 3 released earlier that year. Then the school announces a Guitar Hero competition. It was a tiny little thing. It took place during lunch with only one TV on a stand you'd see in any old classroom, like watching Bill Nye or whatever. There's no save data, no songs unlocked, just straight out of the box Guitar Hero 3 for the PS2. I entered the competition, and since my friends were all convinced I was good enough, I found the Unlock All Songs cheat and proceeded to slay my foes with my mighty plastic axe. I used to make custom tracks to this game, burn them to PS2 discs, and practice playing for hours and hours in late high school. Eventually, my 17th birthday came around, and I really wanted a guitar. My dad played drums since he was 4 and raised me on heavy metal. He was convinced I had the skill to actually play, and with his help, I got my first and favorite guitar, my BC Rich Warlock. Truly a metal axe, if I ever saw one. I practiced songs I knew on Guitar Hero for hours and hours on end. The Trooper by Iron Maiden and Metallica's One being the first 2 songs I ever learned how to play, solos included. I was a dedicated motherfucker. 7 years later, and still grappling with depression, I haven't played as much as I'd like to, but when I hold my guitar, those riffs still come just as naturally as they used to. I absolutely love playing my guitar, and without this franchise, and this game specifically to introduce me to it, I would have never gained such a rewarding skill in life.
Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Hey Lanny, why are you so thankful for what could arguably be the weakest game in the series?
Well, obnoxious Melee fans, here's why. This is the first game that my wife and I ever played together and bonded over. Yeah, even before I could call her my girlfriend, and even before I ever really asked her out on our first real date, we played this game and had a blast together. I can still remember it so clearly. It was July 2nd, 2008. I had just stolen my first kiss from her at a fireworks festival in our hometown in Minnesota. We went back to my place, talked and laughed, and the conversation eventually steered towards Smash Brothers. So we went down to my room, turned on the game, chose our characters, and I proceeded to beat the ever-loving shit out of her as Captain Falcon. That's right, honey, you think you're gonna bring that weak Yoshi shit to this table? Not in my house! Despite this, we still had a lot of fun playing more Brawl in the weeks and dates to follow.
Jump Ultimate Stars. I don't think it's a secret that we all like Japanese stuff here. I might be a little more skewed than most on the team, because my dad was a progenital weeaboo. We had Tatami mats in our floors in our apartment. I had Jew Ranger chopsticks. That's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for you Western folks. And we had nearly every Gundam series recorded on TV. No subtitles, no nothing. All sent to America from my dad's Japanese pen pal who would write little summaries of what happens in the episodes. Given the metal in the anime, you could say my course was laid out for me at birth, and I can't complain. This upbringing instilled a fascination for the Japanese culture in me, and without it, I don't think I would be who I am today. So to the game. Why Jump Ultimate Stars? Well, for one, I'm an avid fan of all the Shonen Jump franchises, and when I first played Jump Superstars, it was so enthralling to see all the characters on the same screen. Just something that seemed like a far-off fantasy to a kid in the US. I imported my copy of Jump Ultimate Stars from Play Asia, waited about 3 weeks for the cheapest shipping to arrive from a boat, and marathoned that with my 2 best friends in high school. We all came up with new team formations, challenged each other to wonky matches, and kept playing during study hall. But one thing kept me from really appreciating the thing. The game's entirely in Japanese. I can honestly say that it was Jump Ultimate Stars that got my ass in gear to finally, after 16 years of fascination with all things Japanese, to actually study the language. I can so vividly remember reading out Kakashi. Oh, that's Kakashi! And feeling like I truly accomplished something. Years down the line, I studied abroad in Japan, speak about as competent as a 6-year-old, and I still practice to this day. So thank you, Jump Ultimate Stars. And thanks, Dad, for being the most encouraging weeb I know.
Final Fantasy XI. This is the first MMO I ever spent any significant amount of time with. Sure, it sucked away days, weeks, even months from my life, but honestly, back when it came out, it was a very welcome escape. I'm not going to claim that I had a rough life or anything of the sort, but like a lot of teenage introverts, I had a very hard time making friends. I never really hung out with anyone in my spare time through my later years of middle school or early years of high school. I always loved video games though, and had a particular admiration for Final Fantasy. So when Final Fantasy XI turned out to be an MMO, I thought, well, may as well give it a shot. And well, I actually made some friends. I found a community that liked me, seemed to get me. It was the first time in a while I actually felt comfortable in my own skin, so to speak. Yeah, I may have become addicted to the game as time ran on, but it wasn't the level progression, the gear collecting, or really anything about the game itself that kept me going. It was all the people that I met, people who thought of me as a friend. Also, as a fun side note, this was the first game I ever used the pseudonym Lanny Pator. Eventually I got into theater in high school and my free time started to run thin, so I had to say a painful goodbye to the game, but I was always thankful for the time I spent with it, even if my time with the game did clock in at almost 1 year real life time. Holy shit, a year?!
Now, before we get to our number ones, here are a couple of our oddly mutual honorable mentions. Ragnarok Online. We're both huge fans of MMOs, and it's a running trend that your first is often your favorite, with the exception of maybe RuneScape. I found an ad for Ragnarok Online in Shonen Jump and thought it looked pretty cool in anime, so I gave it a shot. And my life was never the same after that. I'll try to keep this as succinct as possible. This was around the time I was first showing signs of depression in late middle school, and I was reclusive, struggling to keep friendships, and didn't find much enjoyment out of, well, anything. I will always remember those twinkling notes of Southern Prontora's theme when you first explore the world. Regardless, why is this my number one? Well, actually, I met one of my closest friends through this game. And this was before Warcraft III, so I wasn't allowed to use AIM or MSN Messenger without my parents, seeing what I was talking about. And I actually engaged with people online for the first time in Ragnarok, and the personal adventure this game led me through has stuck with me to this day. I was questing early on with some randoms, found a group, we all had fun, added each other to our friends list, and talked here and there. One member of the group, our healer, was incredibly sweet and compassionate. I was having troubles in school with depression, so I actually opened up to this stranger online, and to my shock, she was receptive. She was willing to talk to me and support me. I spent days and hours just talking with her, wandering the game, doing whatever, and enjoying the incredible soundtrack until the twilight hours. About a year passed, and then one day the family computer got a virus and I couldn't play for months. I couldn't pay for a subscription and my one solid support network was shattered. I was devastated, needless to say, and I scoured the internet. I looked for her handle on the forums. I posted seeing if anyone had seen her or heard of our guild that we made, and it turned into this adventure that lasted for about a year trying to find her. Once I got back in the game about 3 months later, I would message her saying how things were going, knowing she was offline. I eventually asked around in public chat if people had heard of our guild and places we frequented. I actually met a few people that ran into her because she was a notoriously powerful healer on the server, and I met some ex-guildmates that were added after I disappeared. We looked around, asked people for traces of where they found her, what happened to the guild, and if anyone had any information, and eventually, months down the line, we found a lead from someone that sent a private message knowing we were asking around, and they said to meet with them in one of our frequent spots. So we did, and they told us the whole story. She said she had to quit the game to focus on school. She sent her best regards to those she couldn't get in contact with. She actually specifically mentioned that if anyone should find me, to tell her that she wanted to say goodbye. Needless to say, I kind of broke down in tears at the moment. I mean, it was all over a game, but it felt so real. This was a journey to find someone so close to me. About a year passed, and I ended up actually contacting her via the forum, and she responded in an email. We became Facebook friends, then Skype friends, and while I haven't talked to her in a while, I've always been grateful for her friendship. Ragnarok proved to me that the world is full of understanding, caring people. And just because we're separated by distance and other circumstances, that doesn't mean we can't help each other. She was my role model, and I always try to help whoever I can, just like she did for me. Thank you, Stephanie. And thanks, Ragnarok Online, for a solid 7 years.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1 through 3. Kind of hard to narrow this one down, so I'll just drop them all here. Honestly, this one may seem a little silly, but these games may actually have shaped my life the most out of all of them on this list. See, I've loved DBZ since the first time I started watching it back in the early 2000s when my hometown finally got Cartoon Network and with it Toonami. And when these games started rolling out, I had to get them. Like most people, after I beat the story, I always loved entertaining myself with Versus mode, and at the time my favorite characters were Piccolo and Vegeta. Now, while I would play, I would get into the habit of smack-talking my opponent, yes, even when I was playing against the PC. Like I said, I was a fairly lonely kid. Soon this habit became a little weirder as I started trying to smack talk as the character I was playing as, complete with whatever impression I could do at the time. As time passed and more DBZ games came out, this process eventually developed the impressions into the voices you now hear on each episode of DBZA. So in a very odd way, these games basically set my whole adult life as it is right now into motion. Thanks to everything that came from my time with this series, I've gotten to do so many things, meet so many people, travel to so many places, and it was even thanks to this series of events that I eventually bolstered the confidence to talk to and eventually marry my wife. I don't want to get too sentimental here, but my life would be immensely different if it were not for these games. And it is for that reason that they are the games that I am the most thankful for.
That may have gotten a little more sentimental than we originally planned, but what'd you guys think of the list? If you liked it, please show up by clicking that like button and sharing the video around with some friends.
And we'd like to know what games you are most thankful for. Please let us know in the comments below, I'm really curious to see.
If you haven't had enough of us yet, then please check out some of our other videos, like our stream highlights of J-Star's Victory vs. Plus.
Or if you want to check out a game from my list, you can check out our Budokai 1 and 3 playthroughs from last year's DBZ Gaming Marathon. By the way, we're currently in the middle of this year's DBZ Gaming Marathon, so if you want to subscribe to stay updated on stuff like that, please do.
Anyway guys, we hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in the next TFS Top 10.